How important is the evangelical vote? Now, the mainstream media seems to be downplaying the impact. Former Alaska Governor Sarah Palin joins us. Good evening, Governor.
Hey, Greta, how are you?
I'm very well, and I've been looking at the numbers from 2008, 2004 in the evangelical vote, and I see that in many of the swing states it's like 25 to 30%, so not an insignificant group of people to be if you're running for office. And I'm curious, your thoughts, will they go out for Governor Romney this year?
You know, I think that after many of the faith-based community witnessed what happened at the DNC, at the Democrats' convention those months ago, where for the first time in America's history, the reigning political party tried to boot God out of their written platform, I think that riled up some of the faith-based community, and they decided that they're going to come out and exercise their right to vote. And certainly, you know, I hope that they will, because some surveys show that only about 50% of the Christian population is registered to vote, and only about half of that registered population actually shows up to the polls. So it's a strong voting bloc. It's very inclusive and quite tolerant, as opposed to what the mainstream media wants people to believe about that Christian voting bloc.
Well, what Ralph Reese says is that this year they have the largest voter registration, voter mobilization, and get out the vote effort. And I know that you did a robocall for his organization, as well as some others did. And it's almost been sort of the, you know, I haven't heard anything about it, and I wonder if it's sort of as we examine what we think is going to happen tomorrow, whether we've taken into account that there is this 26% of the vote in 2008. I wonder if we're paying enough attention to this vote.
Well, I think, again, that the mainstream media would really like to ignore, in more ways than one, that voting bloc, the faith-based community, those who are offended by President Obama's exercising of kind of this diminished religious freedom that we so appreciate here in America, that Barack Obama has kind of put a wet blanket over some of that when you consider what Obamacare is all about and the mandates in there that violate someone's religious conscience. I think that the mainstream media just maybe wants to pretend that that voting bloc isn't there, and that's why they don't cover it that much. They also, the mainstream media wants people to believe that that voting bloc of evangelicals is just a bunch of white voters in, you know, who are bitterly clinging to their God and their Constitution, when really, if you consider the different demographics represented in the evangelical voting bloc, say in Central Florida, the voting bloc of evangelicals is made up of Hispanics, and in Virginia, the Asian population is the growing evangelical voting bloc. So again, quite diverse and quite tolerant, but quite willing to stand strong on principles, on what our Charters of Liberty talked about in respect to God being the center of our nation and our laws, and wanting to exercise that right to vote, to express that opinion.
You mentioned Hispanics. Your party has not been very successful in courting the Hispanic vote historically, and I don't know how much attention has been paid this year. We'll see after the numbers roll in tomorrow. But I'm curious, you know, has the Republican Party not paid enough attention to the Hispanics, and are the Hispanics, do they not find a place in the Republican Party?
The Hispanic population certainly should feel welcome in the Republican Party. So many Hispanics are so pro-family, they're pro-life, they agree that a child is the most wonderful ingredient in a sometimes mixed up world that we are in today, and that is much of their foundational belief in being pro-life. They want economic opportunity for themselves and for their children in order to be allowed a good job. So the planks in the Republican platform represent the things that can provide those things for Hispanics. Now, as for strategy and the hierarchy of the Republican Party, how they have reached out to Hispanics, I can't even answer that, because I don't know what the hierarchy in the party actually does when it comes to strategizing in that respect. But certainly, Republican Party is a large tent.
You know, as I talked to you, I met you 4 years ago when you were on the ticket. Actually, I actually met you in 2004 when you were mayor of Wasilla, coincidentally, when I was covering the Republican convention in New York. But I'm thinking, as I talked to you, boy, 4 years went fast, didn't it?
It went by very quickly. You know, it's amazing to be here on election eve and still haven't really had a chance to take a deep breath and think about everything that's happened in these 4 years. But, you know, our country certainly has moved forward in many ways that aren't necessarily good for the country, but tomorrow we have a chance to take it back and put America back on the right track. Greta, real quickly, when it comes to the evangelicals too, you know, I think they have the same values and principles when it comes to voting and what's important to them in that ballot booth, but perhaps they take quite seriously that teaching in the Old Testament, specifically in 2 Chronicles 7:14, where it says, the Almighty says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and will turn from ways that are wrong, then the Almighty will come in and solve problems and heal the land. And I think that realization in that verse really has inspired a lot of evangelicals this go around to get out there and vote tomorrow.
Well, Governor, you and I will be on tomorrow night for a few minutes to discuss the returns as they come in, so I'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you for tonight, for appearing tonight. Thank you, Governor.
Thank you.